And then we'll end the proceedings at 7:00. But Rich Cimini joins us on the UMA guest line from ESPN.com, Jets beat writer. Jets and Niners go Monday night. Rich, thanks for a few minutes.
Yeah, my pleasure. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm looking forward to this one on Monday night. I kind of wonder how focused the Niners are on this opponent. There was a 22-minute press conference today where not a single question was asked about the Jets, but a lot's going on around here with holdouts ending and guys, being attacked on the street, and there's a lot of things that almost push the matchup into the background. How are the Jets discussing the Niners in the Monday night matchup out there?
Well, actually, there weren't too many Niners questions from the Jets' perspective today. I think the Jets are, have their own stuff going on. A lot of Haason Reddick stuff. He's still holding out. I doubt that he'll play on Monday night, even if he showed up. So, I'm sure as the week goes on, there'll be more Niner questions.
It's the ultimate win now team, the Jets. They brought in Rodgers last year. Salah's 18-33. He went 4-13, and then a couple of 7-win seasons. They haven't had a winning season since 2015. What do you think? I mean, how much pressure does Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas in this regime enter this year? How much pressure is there from Woody Johnson, from the fans? What's it like out there?
Yeah, it's about as much pressure as a head coach and a GM could have going into a year. I mean, it's definitely a win-now team with a 40-year-old quarterback. The owner expressed his unhappiness at the end of last season, basically came out and said they got to win next year or else. So when you put those couple of things together, it adds up to a lot of pressure to get it done. I mean, it's a good roster. There's no reason why they shouldn't get it done. We thought it was a good roster last year, too, and it lasted about 4 plays. But, if Rodgers stays healthy, they should be right in the playoff mix.
They haven't made the playoffs since 2010. They got a 13-season playoff drought, longest playoff drought in North American sports, tied with the Buffalo Sabres. I couldn't believe that when I read that this week. They redid the O-line, right? They brought in some veteran tackles. How's the new, the kind of restructured line looked?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a better line than last year. Last year's line was probably the worst in the league or second worst in the league, right there with the New York Giants. So, I mean, they look okay. They didn't play in the preseason, so they purposely kept the starters out in the preseason just to preserve them. And so it'll be the first time they're getting actual game reps together. 3 new starters, Tyron Smith, John Simpson, and Morgan Moses. It's a veteran group. I mean, you won't be able to trick them. I mean, you got 2 33-year-old tackles and a couple of veteran guards. The center's a little young, Joe Tippmann. He's only started about 10 games in his career, but he's a good player. So it should be a much improved offensive line protecting Rodgers.
What do you think of the game plan Monday night? I mean, they got Breece Hall, and it's not just Breece Hall. I mean, I like Braylon Allen. He had 9 yards of carry in the first game in the preseason. Abanaconda. They got some other backs, but Breece Hall with the sub 4.4 speed. Is it going to be a heavy dose of the run because Rodgers didn't play all preseason and maybe rusty and Niners have a big rush on paper, or do you think it's more balanced? What kind of approach do you think the Jets take offensively in this one?
Well, I think they're going to try to run it through Breece Hall. He's probably their best overall player at the skill positions. He looks fantastic in camp. He's a huge threat out of the backfield. A lot like Christian McCaffrey. I think Breece had 76 catches last year, which led all running backs. And I think they plan to feature him in the passing game as well. So if I were the Jets, I would definitely try to run the ball a lot, take some pressure off Rodgers. He hasn't played in a long time, Rodgers. He's going to be rusty. And what better way to help out your quarterback by running the ball and setting up some play action?
He didn't play in the preseason, but how did he look in the practices this summer?
Rodgers looked fantastic. I mean, he can throw. He still throws the ball really well. I mean, age 40, going on 41, he really still is a special thrower of the football. Now, he moved pretty well, but again, he didn't face a live rush in the preseason at all, and a couple of joint practices. But that that's not game simulation really. So, he hasn't been hit since Leonard Floyd took him down on the fourth play last season. And so he is anticipating that first hit. He said he's looking forward to it, and we'll see. I do think he'll be a little bit rusty, though.
What did you think, Rich, when there was an athletic report quoting an NFL agent saying that the Jets were in complete disarray? Says there's complete disarray over there. Look at how they've handled Aaron Rodgers. Has one player had more power than him? He skipped minicamp. They've been unable to convert him into a team player. The vibe inside the building is terrible. I mean, you're around this group. Is that a fair assessment, or what'd you think of that report?
Not much. I mean, okay. It's one anonymous agent. I think there've been several people saying it'd be one thing. Every agent has an agenda, and perhaps that particular agent had a bad experience with his client, with the Jets, and so it's a great opportunity to bash the Jets. I would agree with the part where I don't know if any other player in the league has as much power as Aaron Rodgers, but it's much like the Buccaneers with Tom Brady a few years ago. He came in and he pretty much ran that place, brought in some of his own guys, and they happened to go to a Super Bowl and win it that year. The Jets last year happened to lose their quarterback on the fourth play, and it got kind of dysfunctional after that because they really did not have a good backup plan at all, and things just deteriorated. And I would say it was disarray last year. This year, I don't get that sense.
Rich Cimini with us for a couple more minutes as we talk Niners-Jets in advance of the Monday night affair. Week one underway. By the way, Baltimore and Kansas City locked up 7-7 in that game at Arrowhead tonight. Okay, so you mentioned Reddick. Bryce Huff was a tremendous player. He goes to the Eagles in free agency. It looked like the Jets on paper got a really nice facsimile of him by trading for Reddick. They gave up a third-round pick. I mean, do you blame Woody? Did you blame the GM Douglas for not knowing what Reddick wanted? Because Reddick sounds like the Jets want to add more money to his current deal. Reddick wants a brand new deal. Saleh won't even say for sure that he's not going to play on Monday night, but he hasn't shown up all summer. What do you think?
Bad luck.
See him Monday night?
Bad. Oh no! I mean, no. I do not. I mean, Saleh did leave open the door a little bit today, but. I don't think – I just have a hard time seeing Reddick in a Jet uniform. I mean, I just think this has gone bad in a fast way. Strangest holdout I've ever covered, and I've been covering this a long time. I mean, the guy – they make this trade on the 29th. The first mistake was not getting him re-signed to a new contract when they made the trade. The Jets claim that he told them, I'm cool with my existing contract. And the Jets said, okay, let's make the trade. And, a week or so later, all of a sudden they're getting vibes that he's not cool with the contract. So the Jets feel they got duped. And I don't think they ever imagined that it would go down this road. And it's ugly. I mean, the player requested a trade in the middle of August, and the Jets are trying to move on. I mean, I think they screwed it up from the moment they let Bryce Huff go out. They should have re-signed Bryce Huff, 4 years younger than Reddick, and they could have got him for $17 million a year. They trade for Reddick thinking, it's a one-year player. We get him for $15 million, and then we'll move on after a year. Well, Mr. Reddick had different ideas. He didn't want to be played that way, and that's why we are where we are, and this is just a very ugly situation.
One other ugly situation, or at least it sounds ugly, there was reported that there was a disconnect between Hackett and the O-line coach, Keith Carter, over protection, setting protections. Is that a story? Is it not a story? What can you tell us about that?
I wasn't aware of that. I don't. This is the first I'm hearing of that.
Okay. Maybe that's not an issue. I just read that this week. Last one, Javon Kinlaw. He was a personal favorite of mine when he was here. I think most Niner fans would view him as kind of a bust, but the Jets were looking at the number 25th ranked run D and said, man, we need some heft in the middle, and they brought him in this summer. How's he fitting in?
Yeah, he looks really good. He's healthy, which is number one for him. He's had so many injury issues in his career, as you know, but he gained 30 pounds, and he said it was by design. He wanted to add more strength. Now, my radar went off right away. It's like when a guy that big adds 30 pounds, especially a guy with a history of knee issues, you always wonder how are his joints going to hold up. But he looked really good in training camp. I don't think he missed a practice in training camp. He was out there every day. The Jets feel like they really found something in Kinlaw, and they think he'll be unlocked in this particular scheme that they're going to use. And like you said, a bigger run defender, which is something, I mean, they don't have anyone that big. He will add maybe a little girth, some wide body run stuffing ability in the middle of that line.
There's no question he can clog the middle, and I mean they got a front seven that's really, really good, and having another guy up front who can clog the middle on a good front, I mean that always seems like it works well. Hey, great stuff, Rich. Thanks for jumping on with us. We appreciate it, and enjoy the game on Monday night. Thanks. Hopefully we'll catch up with you down the road.
All right, great. Thanks for having me.
Rich Cimini, ESPN.com, and covers the Jets for ESPN. All right, let's take a timeout.